I thought Quinn was outstanding. Let's start right there. I thought Quinn was outstanding in the first half. 11 of 14, dialed in. Texas takes a 28-10 lead. This reminded me a lot of the Michigan game where Quinn was just locked in and was, getting the ball out. And, the one nitpick you're going to have is that fourth and 2 pass in the third quarter, slightly behind Matthew Golden. Golden could have made a really nice catch there because he had his hands on the ball. It was behind him. He had to reach back for it, but it hit his hands. Zay, my high school coach said, if it hits your hands, you got to come up with it.
What was your high school coach's name?
Oh God, Frank. He had a horrible last name. Yeah, it was like this long German thing. But that's about the only thing I'm getting on Quinn about that. And when he slid instead of throwing,
that weird slide. What was that?
Throw it away. Just throw it away. Don't take a 3 or 4 yard loss on that. But back to the point. And of course, my dog walks in and opens the door and ruins the acoustics of this room. But I thought he was money. I mean, you're up 28-10 at halftime. The drive right before halftime was the highlight reel. Mm-hmm. He runs for 11 on 3rd and 3. He's only got a minute and change to move 75 yards. He does it. That's when he hit Helm. Gunnar Helm for the 19-yard touchdown. Ollie pop to both Quinn Ewers and Gunnar Helm, because Gunnar Helm, by the end of the game, had 6 catches for 77 yards and a touchdown. That gives him the single season records for receptions and receiving yards by a tight end at Texas, surpassing Jatavian Sanders. Damn. The guy that he blew up about after the 2022 season. He went to Jeff Banks and said, what do I got to do to get more love? I'm as good of a blocker as he can catch it. What's going on? And Jeff Banks said, love that fire, love that passion, keep working, your day is coming. And here it is, Zay. Yeah, I'm going to close this door, but give me your thoughts on Gunnar Helm, baby.
I mean, love the guy. The dude's an absolute matchup nightmare. I knew he'd be able to take advantage of this Clemson defense. And, one of my favorite things about Gunnar Helm, he's a pretty petty guy. You know me. I love some petty. When he was asked about that after the game, he said, yeah, somebody had me for 9 catches this year. We got to find out who that was. We got to find out who that was. Because
I know you'll find it. It wasn't me.
Yeah, somebody. I don't know who it was. It wasn't me either. So we got to find out who had Gunnar Helm at 9 catches this year, because that's absolutely bonkers. Yeah. Like, the dude's, again, matchup nightmare. And last year we talked about Chip when, Sanders went out. He could have stayed out because 85 is that good. He just wasn't given the opportunities. But when he was successful. And it was just weird how last season played out with him. But now that he is the man, like I thought before the season, Amari Niblack would be a huge part of this offense. Gunnar Helm, so good. And shout out to Juan Davis, Juan Davis had some big-time blocks in this game that led to rushing touchdowns. But Gunnar Helm is so good that Amari Niblack barely see the field this year. Yeah. So I get it now, like why Amari Niblack's not playing. Gunnar Helm is that guy. And again, he's a security blanket for Quinn Ewers. I mean, look at his size, his speed. We know that Clemson likes to play a lot of man. So you're going to put those linebackers on him, then he should be able to do what he wants like he did. I love the screen pass that he had, the one-handed catch, which was a crazy play by Quinn, like going back to Quinn Ewers and how good he was. Like, they were in the backfield before Quinn really even had the ball in his hands, and he could spin it to get them laces on it. And he had the ball out of his hands to Gunnar Helm. Gunnar Helm snagged that mug with one hand, and it led to a first down on the screen. Like, The dude's really good, and it still baffles me that he only had one catch for 11 yards against Georgia. That's still unacceptable to me. Never again. Again, you force feed guys like that. You give those guys opportunities to make contested catches because they're that good. I mean, ask my man Bowman about them contested catches in the Oklahoma game on the Matthew Golden pass. Like Gunnar Helm, in any situation, is a big-time player and makes big-time catches. And, yeah, there's been moments where he's had drops this year, but, hell, everybody's had drops. Everybody has mistakes. Jaden Blue coming in with a fumbling problem, which seems like those fumbling issues, still a little worried about it, but he needed a game like this to really get him going and really get his confidence ready. And don't forget, last year, national championship Michigan team, J.J. McCarthy, he game managed the whole season. It was all about Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. Those guys, they ran the football. So if the Horns are going to get back to running the football like they did on Saturday, I know the Georgia game still haunts you, but if you can establish a run game, especially with all the missing pieces that you had when Jake Majors and Cam Williams goes out and you just put Hayden Conner to the center, bring Cole Hudson left guard, Trevor Gooseby at the right tackle, which salute to Trevor Gooseby. Like, you were just playing left tackle, bro, against A&M and Georgia. Both teams have edge rushers that are going to the league in this upcoming draft, and now you got to play the right. And, you know, your everyday non-football fan would be like, oh, it's just one position to another. No, you know, Chip, that's a hard-ass thing to do. Like, go from left tackle to right tackle. The technique's different. The fundamentals are different. A lot's different there. Not everybody could do that. So for him to go in, and yeah, he had a couple of plays where you're like, but overall, Trevor Gooseby was solid, and it just shows what Kyle Flood and Steve Sarkisian have done with the development of these guys. So 38-24, I'll take it. Moving on to the Peach Bowl.
Trevor Gooseby was your third highest rated pass blocker behind DJ Campbell and Hayden Conner. Trevor Gooseby is going to be a really good football player. So the fact that he can sub in at left tackle and right tackle tells you they found one in Trevor Gooseby. So kudos. Yeah, and kudos to that offensive line. Texas runs the football for 292 yards. You know, Jaden Blue goes for 146. Quintravian Wisner, who I think is going to be okay. He goes for, you know, over 100 yards rushing. And, you know, they dominated a good Clemson defensive front. Now, they did struggle in short yardage situations. That needs to get fixed. I asked Sark about it today. They were 1 of 4 on fourth down. They also had a 1st and goal from the 5 and ended up with a 22-yard field goal. So they got to get that figured out, because Sark definitely went for the kill shot. Well, first of all, he went for it on 4th and 1 on the first drive, and Jared Gibson got 4 yards. They need to do a tush push or something, because it's, you know, it hurt them. I mean, there's no doubt about it. They had 4th and 1 at the Clemson 17 and didn't make it. They had 4th and 1 at the that was Blue getting stuffed. Then they had 4th and 1.
In the fumble. What was
in the fourth quarter? Yeah, when they put Manning under center, which
that's the hate. How many times are you taking snaps from Hayden Conner
in a backup center?
That's tough.
So he fumbles a snap, and they go backwards for 3 yards. But look, that was a big day for Jaden Blue. The 77-yard touchdown run, the 38-yard touchdown run. Man, he looked lightning fast. He looked super confident. That's what he needed going into this. And again, the final drive of the first half, Quinn Ewers running 11 yards on 3rd and 3.
That was huge, man.
It was huge play. Huge play. And he was quick. He was, he wasn't slow and clumsy. He was back there passing, but that lane opened up and he took it, moved the chains. 2 plays later, touchdown to Gunnar Helm on a play where it was a sight adjustment, by Helm, who's just such a big target. He kind of sat down in the middle of that zone defense, put his big paw up in the air, always tells Quinn, throw it high, I'll go get it. But think about that real quick, back to Gunnar Helm. So he comes in the same class as Jatavian Sanders. Sanders 5-star, super athletic, but man, they had to just beat on him to block. And so here's Helm, who's was always a much better blocker than Sanders, but Sanders was so athletic and went for 100 yards against Alabama. I mean, the guy has skills, but he leaves after his junior year, 4th-round pick of the Carolina Panthers. And here comes Gunnar Helm, and now Helm breaks the records and is now the single-season record holder and he's still going.
Oh, yeah.
Single-season record holder for catches and receiving yards by a tight end in a single season, and he breaks the records of Jatavian Sanders to do it. So super cool story. He was the lowest-rated player in his recruiting class in 2021 outside of punter Isaac Pearson, who's no longer in the program. He plays for SMU, who got absolutely annihilated.
I didn't want to bring it up. You brought it up. I was waiting for you to bring it up. I feel like I'm allowed to call them ponies until next year with that performance.
That was terrible.
We'll talk about that later. We'll stay on Texas.
Later. But Gunnar Helm, how about that? Lowest rated player in his 2021 recruiting class outside of Isaac Pearson. And now look at him. He is dealing. And another guy they're going to miss tremendously next year. So, that was big. And Blue going off was big. Contravian Wisener was so good until he goes out of the game, but he should be okay.
I bet he wanted to still be in there. I bet you they were like, we got this. We got 3 more games, possibly 26. Let's go sit out for a little bit. Blue's cooking. Let them cook.
And they needed Blue to cook because Cade Klubnik said, I ain't done yet. And we said that. He would rather die on the field. No matter what the point differential was, that dude was going to keep unloading his clip. And he did. Oh, my God, they went after Manny Muhammad, and they got him.
Dumbo, I don't want to bring Dumbo into the room, elephant in the room here, but number 5's starting to become a liability. And it's weird. It's really odd. Because coming into this year, we thought that he would be up for the Thorpe Award. We thought that he would be able to take that next step because he had a really good freshman year. And maybe he wasn't asked to do as much. You've still got Terrence Brooks and Jared Thompson, all those guys here. And now that he's the straight-up starter, if I'm Pete Kwiatkowski, I'm thinking about playing Gavin Holmes a little bit more. Because other than that bad pass interference call on Gavin Holmes, which it was a pass interference call, but in the Georgia game, SEC championship, Gavin Holmes been solid. Like the 2 plays before the 4th down stop, where Bill Norton and Barron Sorrell stuffed it up. Gavin Holmes made a really good play on Wesco on that quick slant. He was all over that. So the way that they were picking on Manny Muhammad, that was a tough watch. It really was. And there were some weird communication issues going on in that secondary.
It wasn't like he was 3 steps behind the dude, though. Cade Klubnik was dropping it in the bucket.
Yeah.
And that, at some point, sometimes you just go, hey, man, great execution, great catches. There was one time where Manny Muhammad's like, he was out of bounds. No, he was in bounds. And so, look, Cade Klubnik can deal. I don't think you're going to see another Cade Klubnik till you run into Dylan Gabriel or Will Howard. They've had Will Howard's number, but it's been a minute.
That's a different Will Howard.
Yeah, that's different Will Howard. They didn't see Will Howard. They saw him last year, obviously, and they got him on 4th and goal. But that dude can, point is, they survived Cade Klubnik. We knew Klubnik was going to be a beast, and he was. He was outstanding. I had one person say to me, and this is salty, but they said it before the game. So they said if Texas had Cade Klubnik, Longhorns win the national championship, no problem.
Damn.
And that was a compliment to Klubnik because Quinn Ewers stepped up and said, I got something to say. And that was huge because we've seen glimpses of Quinn. He looked really good after the first possession in the A&M game until the third quarter pick 6. And then he looked really good in the first half against Georgia. And then they didn't punch it in. The defense started, having some success. Against Clemson, really good. Even that interception, like you said, that should have been a catch by DeAndre Moore. Went right through his hands, bounced off his pads, right into
DeAndre
Mickens' hands. Can't have that one.
Come on, DeAndre.
But I thought I thought he looked good, relaxed in the flow.
Is Arch changing that? Is Arch changing that play that allowed Jaden Blue to get the 77-yard touchdown? I don't know if he is.
Right.
I don't know if Arch is doing things like that. Quinn Ewers looked at Jaden Blue, looked to the line, and did the thumbs up thing. I don't know what the hell that was, but he was like, yo, whatever play we're running, we're going to run Kelvin Bankside. I'm handing it off. People just see the throws. People think that it's just throws when it comes to playing quarterback. And there's so much to it. And for Quinn Ewers to change that play, he changed 2 runs that led to touchdowns. I don't know what the other ones were, but I know that 77-yard run by Jaden Blue, which at a very tense time, it's 31-24. It's getting tight in that stadium, real tight, a little quiet. Everybody's like, oh, damn, here we go again. Clay Klubnik, he out here dealing. And then Quinn Ewers is changing plays that lead to touchdowns, even though the ball wasn't necessarily in his hands. That was all Quinn Ewers. Jaden Blue did the rest. So, that's the difference. That's why Arch, because all these characters out here that think Arch Manning should be the starter and stuff, I don't think Arch is making that play. Now, I could be wrong, but the experience that Quinn Ewers has had in these 3 years leads to things like that. So, that's even though the stats don't wow you, that's bigger than that. Like those are the stats that don't show up right there. Those are the things that don't show up, on the stat sheet and stuff. I appreciate that. You really got to give kudos and salute Quinn Ewers for managing the game the right way. And like you said, Chip, he was completely comfortable. He was confident. He was in control of that ball game. And sometimes you don't have to make the throws to be in control. You got to be able to read the defense before the ball snapped. And he did that to an immaculate perfection, in my opinion, that helped the Longhorns go back to Atlanta for the Peach Bowl.
Yeah.